the walls of Arena 776 vibrated with the rumble of 1,000 species cheering for blood. Above the pit, banners dripped with dried plasma. The floor below was a patchwork of scars, old wounds from blades, claws, and blaster fire. Spotlights scanned the crowd, lingering on the high balconies where nobles and warlords lounged behind transparent shields, sipping fermented bloodfruit and watching the chaos unfold with idle amusement. Rhea Torres stood in the shadowed corridor just beyond the gate. Her boots sank slightly in the grit-covered floor. The scent of copper and ozone lingered in the air, burned into every stone. Her right arm still trembled from yesterday's lesson. She didn't look at it. "Next one's a carnivore," said Javo, the half-blind medic who stitched her up every week. "Claws. Long reach. You shouldn't be fighting." Rhea tilted her head slightly but said nothing. She wasn't trying to be stoic. There was just no point anymore. Talking wasted energy. From the balcony, the voice of Commander Varnek boomed across the arena. "Present the Deathworlder." The audience hissed, jeered, laughed. "Mutt daughter. Fragile earth thing." Rhea stepped forward, but not toward the pit. Not yet. Her eyes found Varnek, tall and silver-skinned, armored in ceremonial bone plates. The grin on his face was the same one he wore yesterday when he dislocated her arm without a word of warning. That moment still replayed, again and again. Training yard, dusk. Four guards and exoframes circled the human recruits. Varnek walked between them like a shepherd inspecting livestock. His clawed hand stopped on Rhea's shoulder. "You've shown promise," he'd said. "But Deathworlders are arrogant. Let's correct that." She didn't flinch. The guards held her still. No warning. No mercy. The crack echoed across the courtyard. Her arm dropped limp. He leaned in, smiling. What's survival without humility? She looked at him, memorizing his pupils, the scent of his breath, the twitch in his left eye. She said nothing. Just counted. 1, 2, 3. Now, in the present, the gate creaked open. Not for her, yet. A four-limbed reptilian warrior marched into the arena, roaring, flexing its plated shoulders. The audience roared back. Rhea exhaled. Calm. Focus. She watched, studied. The reptile was fast but overconfident. It dropped its guard between lunges. She catalogued it. Every twitch, every mistake. Her mind wasn't watching a fight. It was collecting data. Someone behind her coughed blood. Another human, young, trembling. "You gotta fight that next," he whispered. Rhea nodded once. The kid looked pale. "You're not scared?" She shook her head. Not because she wasn't. But because fear had a place, and it wasn't now. She returned to the cells after the match. The reptile had torn apart a Keldari brute in under 2 minutes. The ground still glistened from the aftermath. Javo patched up the others. Rhea sat against the far wall, arms strapped to her side. No anesthesia. No luxury. Across the hall, a young girl stared at her. 8, maybe 9. Human. Too small for the arena. "What's your name?" the girl asked. "Rhea." The girl bit her lip. "I'm Lonnie. They said I'll be tested next week." Rhea didn't respond right away. Finally, she said, "Watch everything. Learn. Don't move unless you have to." Lonnie looked like she might cry. "But they'll hurt me." "They will." Rhea's voice was flat. "But the hurt doesn't last. Survival does." Silence settled in like ash. Varnek's voice echoed through the corridor, "Torres. Front. Now." Rhea stood. Her arm throbbed under the wrap. She didn't show it. As she passed Lonnie's cell, she paused. "Counting your head," Rhea said. "Numbers keep you steady." Then she was gone. Back in the training arena, Varnek stood alone in the center, the floor still stained from earlier sparring sessions. His eyes gleamed with amusement. "You should be grateful," he said as she approached. "I only broke one." She said nothing. He circled her slowly. "Humans. Always thinking pain is weakness. But pain? Pain is truth." Still nothing. He stepped closer. "Say something, Torres. Show me you're still human." She met his eyes. 40 seconds. His brow arched. "What? That's how long it'll take." "For what?" She tilted her head, lips neutral. "To make you regret touching me." A flicker of rage twisted his face, but it passed. "Ah," he chuckled, defiance. "It will fade. They all break. I don't." He stepped forward, fast, his hand raised, but paused just before striking her again. "You'll learn, eventually." She didn't blink. "You already taught me everything I need." He smirked. "Then let's see if you survive tomorrow." She turned without permission and walked away. In her cell, Rhea lay awake. The arena lights hummed through the metal above. She flexed her hand. The arm didn't move. Didn't matter. It would be enough. Pain sharpened everything. The count began again. 1, 2, 3. Tomorrow, she would teach them what Deathworlders really were. Not mutts. Not toys. Not victims. Just human. And that should have terrified them. Rhea awoke to the sound of a metal tray clanging against the floor. The lights were already up, harsh, artificial, always too bright. Her splinted arm throbbed with every heartbeat. The pain was constant now, dull and heavy, like a reminder ticking beneath her skin. The guards didn't speak. They never did unless they had to. One of them slid a data slab across the cell floor. Her name glowed in red across the top. Match confirmed, Rhea Torres. Opponent, Threxac, rank, Alpha. Status, mandatory. Time, 0900 standard, tomorrow. Her stomach clenched, not from fear, but because this was the final cue. No more hiding. No more waiting. She touched the splint gently. Her fingers moved. Weakly, but they moved. The bone wouldn't heal in time. But pain wasn't the barrier. It was the weapon. Javo visited again. He always came before death matches, like a ritual. He didn't say much. Just tightened the splint, checked her vitals, and watched her silently. He wasn't supposed to help them prepare, but he was human. That still meant something in this place. Threxac's fast, he muttered. Unpredictable. Tends to go for joints. Rhea arched an eyebrow. Good. He frowned. Good? He'll underestimate a crippled limb. Javo sighed. You know, most try to stay alive. I'm not most. He shook his head, pressing a cold pack to her shoulder. You want revenge. I get it. But vengeance only helps if you walk away afterward. I'll walk, she said. He won't. He didn't press further. Just handed her a nutrient bar and walked out. That night, she trained. Quietly. In her cell. She balanced on one leg, practiced pivots. Visualized. Her father once said, the brain is the battlefield before the body. She remembered the red sand of Arizona. Her brother, Joel, sparring with her on cracked concrete behind their housing unit. He was older, cocky, stronger. He'd always used his size. So she learned to use timing. Now, timing was all she had. She braced her good shoulder against the wall and drilled footwork. Half steps, spins, backward shifts. She couldn't punch. But she could throw, redirect, control momentum. That was enough. She didn't need strength. She needed seconds. In the adjacent cell, the little girl, Lonnie, sat huddled in the corner, her knees drawn up. She watched Rhea through the bars, eyes wide. "Why do you move like that?" she whispered. Rhea paused. "Because that's how you survive when you're smaller." Lonnie tilted her head. "But you're not small." "I am here." The girl was quiet for a while. Then, "Do you think they'll let me go if I do well?" Rhea looked her in the eye. "No." Lonnie blinked. "Then why fight?" Rhea stepped closer, crouching low so the girl could see her clearly. "You don't fight for them. You fight so you remember who you are." Lonnie nodded. She didn't smile. But something in her face shifted, less fear, more focus. At 0600, the guards returned. They didn't drag her this time. She walked. The corridor to the prep chamber was lined with trophies, blades from fallen champions, helms from extinct species, bones dipped in chrome and mounted like artwork. A reminder of what happened to those who didn't win. The prep room was cold, clinical. A machine spritzed her skin with antiseptic. Another locked a metal collar around her neck. Varnek entered without ceremony, flanked by 2 elite guards. He didn't speak immediately. Just circled her, as he always did. "Finally, I considered pulling you from the roster. Letting you heal. But then I remembered what you said." Rhea didn't react. 40 seconds, he repeated. "You think you're that precise?" She met his gaze. "I don't think." He leaned closer, his breath warm and sour. "You'll die down there." "No," she said calmly. "You will." Varnek smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "There's no escape, girl. Even if you win, you stay in the cage." Rhea shrugged slightly. "Then I'll make the cage afraid of me." He stood still for a moment, considering her. Then turned and left. The gate behind her slid open. The arena floor felt hotter today. The sun from Vaktarn Prime filtered through the transparent dome, casting golden shafts of light onto the blood-stained sand. Above, the crowd roared, not in support, just for the promise of carnage. Alien voices howled, hissed, shrieked in anticipation. Announcers in 3 languages screamed her name. Some cheered. Most laughed. Then came the real noise. The heavy gate opposite her opened, and Threxak stepped through. He was a mass of chitin, muscle, and attitude. 8 feet tall. Arms longer than her legs. Black-scaled, crowned with hooked horns. His teeth were the size of her fingers. He walked like he owned the ground. She didn't flinch. She didn't blink. The announcer shouted something she didn't hear. Time slowed. 1. Threxak roared, flexed, pounded his chest. 2. He circled, fast and wide. Arrogant. That was good. 3. She moved left, feigning imbalance. Baiting him. 4. He lunged. Predictable. She slid aside. 5. His claws scraped air. Her foot struck his knee. 6. He stumbled. From the high box, Varnek leaned forward, scowling. "She's not dodging," one of the guards said. "She's directing." He narrowed his eyes. "This isn't panic," he muttered. "It's precision." Back in the pit, Rhea ducked a swing and pivoted under Threxak's second strike. His bulk carried him too far forward. She twisted, pivoted behind him, and slammed her elbow, her good elbow, into the back of his knee. He dropped a half step. She stepped on his foot. He turned to grab her. She was already moving. 7. Her injured arm moved. Just barely. Not to strike. But to draw attention. He reached for it. She spun and drove her shoulder into his throat. He choked. She twisted, reversed her stance, and shoved his elbow in the wrong direction. 8. Pop. He screamed. She didn't stop. 9. Threxak howled. His broken elbow hung at an unnatural angle. Blood, a thick green ooze, poured down his arm. The crowd's roar faltered into confusion. Rhea circled, breathing steady. Her right arm hung limp, but it didn't matter. This wasn't about brute strength. It was about timing, and his had just run out. 10. He rushed again, wild now, striking with his good arm. She ducked low, rolled under his lunge, came up behind him. Her boot slammed into the back of his knee. 11. He stumbled forward. She followed like a shadow, wrapping her good arm around his throat. 12. He thrashed, claws slicing through the air. One caught her side, shallow but sharp. She didn't let go. 13. He dropped to one knee. She tightened her hold, pushing off his back and twisting, leverage over muscle, balance over size. Her father's words echoed, "It's not about being stronger. It's about being smarter for longer than they are dangerous." 14. Threxac slammed backward, trying to crush her. She let go just before impact and landed to the side. He struck the ground with a crash. 15. She didn't wait. She kicked his already wounded arm, once, twice, until the joint cracked fully. It bent in the wrong direction. Useless. He screamed again, deep and guttural. High above, Varnek stood. His expression had shifted from smugness to rage. "She was supposed to die," he snapped. "She's controlling the pace," muttered one of the alien analysts beside him. "This isn't chance," said another. "She's counting." 16. Threxac crawled to his feet, clutching his ruined arm. His eyes were wild now. Not arrogant. Not confident. Afraid. Rhea advanced, slow, surgical. He swung his tail. She dropped. It missed. 17. She was inside his range before he could reposition. Her left knee crashed into his gut. He doubled. She twisted his horn and yanked sideways. 18. He staggered, losing his center. She turned, pivoted, and struck his thigh with her knee. 19. The limb buckled. 20. He collapsed to all fours. The arena fell quiet. Truly quiet. No laughter. No jeers. Just the sound of her boots approaching him. 21. He tried to crawl. She stomped on his hand. 22. He screamed again. Not rage. Pain. Panic. Varnek slammed a fist into the railing. "Stop the fight. I want her restrained, now." The announcer hesitated. "Commander, that's not permitted during active combat." "I own this pit." Varnek snarled. Rhea glanced up at him. Just once. A message passed between them, wordless. Not fear. Not mercy. 40 seconds. She hadn't forgotten. 23. Threxac flailed with his tail. She grabbed it mid-swing and pivoted, throwing him onto his back with a heavy slam. The ground shook. 24. She stepped onto his chest. 25. He wheezed, eyes wide. "You're not the one I came for," she said. He blinked, confused. "But you're what stood in the way." 26. She turned toward the high platform. Toward Varnek. "You still watching?" she called out. His face darkened. "You forget your place, girl." "No," she said. "I remembered it." 27. She dropped to a crouch, picked up one of Threxac's cracked shoulder plates, and hurled it toward the platform. It shattered harmlessly against the shield, but the crowd gasped. She didn't care about hitting him. Just making a point. 28. Two guards approached the pit entrance, weapons ready. Rhea turned fully toward them. 29. "If you step in," she said calmly, "I'll do worse than break him." One of the guards hesitated. The other lowered his weapon. Varnek stared, lips curling in fury. "She's a Deathworlder," someone whispered beside him. No, another said. She's a storm. 30. She stepped off Threxak's chest. He groaned, barely conscious. 31. She knelt. Gripped his broken arm. 32. Wrenched it higher. The scream echoed across the arena. 33. Louder, she muttered. He obliged. 34. She stood again. Turned her back on him. Walked toward center ring. 35. The crowd, stunned a moment earlier, began to murmur. Uneasy. Respectful. Afraid. 36. She looked up again. I counted, she told Varnek. He didn't respond. But she saw the shift. The tension in his jaw. The narrowing of his eyes. Fear. She smiled. 37. She held up her splinted arm, limp, battered. This, she said. This cost you everything. 38. She bent slightly, grabbing the chain attached to the arena gate. She yanked. The door cracked open. 39. She walked out. Alone. Unaided. Unbroken. 40. She didn't look back. Didn't need to. The arena knew what it had seen. Later, in the quiet dark of her cell, Lonnie approached the bars. You won, the girl whispered. No, Rhea said softly. I survived. Will they come for you now? Probably. Lonnie looked down. What will you do? Rhea didn't answer immediately. Then. I'll count again.